Okay, I wanted to record part two today as well, and this has to do with the Bill of Rights, which we've been working on, and it's pages 98 through 100. So you can see kind of a general outline that I will follow here. But some things to note is that political scientists have discovered that people are advocates of rights in theory, but then when it comes time to put those rights into practice, their support can kind of waver. And I think that is one of the reasons in which we have so much conflict, and not conflict in a bad way, just we have these courts to figure out the disputes in the conflicts. That's what they're there for. So that's all a very good thing. All right. Cases can become particularly difficult when liberties are in conflict. So this is when it comes really, really tricky. And when a court rules on a case such as free press, versus a fair trial, or free speech versus public order, where the facts and interpretations are subtle and ambiguous, when they rule on these cases, then it sets a precedence. So they have to be really, really careful on that. And of course, the First Amendment you need to know inside and outside, please. All right, so Bill of Rights is fundamental to Americans' freedom. So again, going back to the Anti-Federalists, they required a Bill of Rights because they were worried about a government that was too strong. All of the state constitutions had Bill of Rights by the time of the 1787 Constitutional Convention, and the issue of adding a Bill of Rights to the proposed national constitution had become a condition of ratification. The Bill of Rights was passed as a group by the first Congress in 1789. The first 10 amendments were ratified and became part of the Constitution in 1791. So remember, the amendments to the Constitution will either give a new group of people more rights, protect rights, or it will clarify some element of the Constitution that people feel needs clarification. The Bill of Rights was written to restrict the powers of the new central government. The First Amendment establishes the four great liberties: freedom of the press, speech, religion, and assembly. Also, don't forget the freedom of petition is in that First Amendment. What happens, however, if a state passes a law violating one of the rights protected by the Federal Bill of Rights and the state's constitution does not prohibit the abridgment of freedom? In Barron versus Baltimore, this case was in 1833. The Supreme Court ruled that the Bill of Rights restrained only the national government and not states and cities. So that's a really important thing. It was not until 1925 that the court relied on the 14th Amendment to find that a state government must respect some First Amendment rights. So that was the Gitlau versus, oops, there's a typo there, but Vish versus New York case. So this is where the courts are going to refer to the 14th Amendment. And the 14th Amendment is a very important amendment when it comes to individual rights as well. The Supreme Court gradually applied most of the Bill of Rights to the states, particularly in an era of Chief Justice Earl Warren in the 1960s, developing the concept of the incorporation doctrine. So, incorporation doctrine is a legal concept under which the Supreme Court has nationalized the Bill of Rights by making most of its provisions applicable to the states through the 14th Amendment. Okay, so no longer can a state do something that goes against one of the Bill of Rights. All right. At the present time, only the Second, Third, and Seventh Amendments and the grand jury requirement of the Fifth Amendment have not been applied specifically to the states. Not everyone agrees that the 14th Amendment incorporated parts of the Bill of Rights into state laws. And in 1985, Edwin Meese, who was Attorney General, so that would be under Ronald Reagan, strongly criticized Gitlau and called for disincorporation of the Bill of Rights. Okay, but that did not follow through, and that did not happen. All right, so some big takeaways to take out of this. You guys do need to know Supreme Court cases, of course, the ones in our packet, but these other smaller cases are going to be important for you to know as well. If I were you, I would make flashcards because it's really hard. There's so many, and there's going to be a lot in this unit. So I would make a flashcard and just like the case name and then what it was, and maybe come up with some kind of a mnemonic or some kind of device to kind of remember these things if you find that helpful. Also with this, we need to remember that how important the 14th Amendment is. So go back and look at that if you need to. And of course, the First Amendment should feel pretty comfortable to you by now, but if not, go back and take a look at that as well. All right, those are my tips for this portion of the chapter.